Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Build Your Vision podcast for young and emerging entrepreneurs who are looking to build their best business and their best life. I'm your host, Cleavon Davis, and today we are going to be talking about something that everyone who is serious about anything should have. That is a website. I'm sure you saw it in the title. So, I'm talking to myself in this episode as well because I'm in the process of building a website, a new website of my own. And wouldn't it just feel great to be networking, talking to some guys, talking to some ladies about yourself, and you say, hey, you guys should check out my website. I just feel like that would be so cool, and I want to be able to do that. And being able to tell someone where to go on your website, and then they can find everything that they need to know about you from that spot, is just something that is so awesome, and it's so useful in networking and making connections for your business. And having a website honestly just gives you an extra dose of validity behind your name. It shows that you take yourself and your brand seriously, and it gives you multiple ways of presenting yourself to the world. The first thing people look for when discovering someone new is usually a website. I don't care what anyone says. Instagram, LinkedIn, Linktree, Facebook, none of those things can actually replace an actual website. Now, here's what this episode is specifically made for. Knowing that you need a website is one thing, but how do you actually get one is the question. Well, you have a couple options. Well, two of them I want to talk about in this episode. One, you could pay a web designer a buttload of money, and they can build one for you. Or you can make your own website the way you want to make it, make changes to it whenever you want, and do it on your own time. It's also more cost effective, if you ask me. So I'm assuming if you're like me, you're going to choose the latter of the two. So today I brought on the show Louise Henry, who is a DIY, do-it-yourself, if you don't know what that means, website specialist, specifically using Squarespace, this episode's sponsor. Boy, if you don't... I can't even say that with a straight face. Okay, we're not sponsored by Squarespace yet, so be on the lookout. Hit me up, Squarespace. Anyway, she has a great YouTube channel called Solopreneur Sidekick, where she shows people how to make amazing professional websites for themselves, and she is sharing that information that she does on that channel with you right here on the Build Your Vision pod. So we're just going to get into this one. I've done enough talking. Let's hear this episode with Louise Henry. Let's go.
Loading.
Extra, read all about it.
It's a case study for success.
Be teachable.
What better way to learn than to just ask?
The learning process becomes a journey.
Turning dreams into realities.
Part of execution is totally believing whatever you're doing is going to work.
What are your passions and what are your gifts? And that's where it really starts.
Chances are for taking. Take a chance on yourself.
Any and everyone is capable of being a leader.
You're not going to have all the answers immediately.
Wow.
Mentors to expose you to things that you otherwise wouldn't know.
It was all I thought about and dreamed. I would literally get up in the morning, practice, because I knew the time would come.
Just do it.
Louise, and my business is called Solopreneur Sidekick, and I help coaches and service-based businesses create a high-converting website without any of the tech stress. I share a ton of free tutorials over on my YouTube channel, Solopreneur Sidekick, and then I work with people all over the world on their website through my online course website, The Wows.
Awesome. Right. So I said I wanted to switch platforms and I went to Squarespace. And Squarespace I saw was a lot better. I was able to see a lot more things that were attractive to the eye for me. But also I still didn't quite know where to go. Like I started creating the website myself. And I just didn't know exactly how to or what I really needed to put into what I was doing. So I started looking up things on YouTube, of course, and that's how I came across you. And you are a specialist in Squarespace. So I was like, okay, great. That's why I have to have her on the show. And what I usually use for the podcast, what I've been using lately, is a hypothetical character. And her name is Katie, and she has a business where she helps tame wild, rampant cats. She helps cat owners tame their crazy cats. And and she is wanting to build a website. She knows that she needs somewhere to direct her customers if they want to learn more about her and her business. So she wants to create a website, but she doesn't want to necessarily pay for someone to do it, because if she wants to make changes, that would be difficult and things like, and also cost effectiveness as well. So if she wanted to DIY her website, where would she start and how would she go about it?
Yeah, for sure. So I can totally relate to that situation because that's a situation I was in when I first started. So I think the first big decision there is to choose a platform and really choose that based upon what features you actually need. So, you need to get clear on your business goals and what features you need. And that's going to help you out with that decision. Personally, for me, when I discovered Squarespace, that was a real light bulb moment, and it simplified my tech life significantly. So now for most entrepreneurs, that is the platform that I would recommend.
Awesome. Okay, so I would recommend Squarespace as well, just coming from a person that doesn't know as much about it, because I just think the ease of use and the amount of templates they have that look really nice is just good for a beginner person. So, okay, she chose to use Squarespace, and now she's looking at all these different templates, and she's trying to figure out, where do I start? What features do I need? What features do I have? And also, I believe I'm trying to remember how the process goes, but do you make a domain name before you design the website or after?
Yeah, so you don't have to, but generally I like to start people off with that for sure. You can purchase and connect one at any point, but I would say start with that. That's something you can knock off the checklist. So yeah, you definitely, if you already have a business name, then great. You're going to see if you can try and get that domain name. And for anyone wondering, that's basically whatever follows the .com. So yeah, you can definitely do that first.
And do you need to do that separately from Squarespace, or can you do it within Squarespace?
No, so yeah, you can actually purchase it directly from Squarespace. And what I'm finding is people are just loving to keep things all in one spot. Squarespace recently added email marketing to their platform, which is fantastic. So a ton of my students are finding that, the more they can keep under one umbrella, the happier they are. So yeah, you can definitely just purchase your domain right from within Squarespace. It's going to cost you about $20 for the entire year. So it's an annual fee. And it's easy. The hard part really when it comes to domains is trying to find one that is free. And by free, I mean available. So, it's super competitive. And what you do want, you definitely want something that is short, that is memorable, and ideally something as well that can match your social media. So that can be kind of challenging. One of my favorite websites, it's called Namecheck. It's namechk.com, and you can actually type in a domain there, and it will tell you if that domain is available, as well as if the corresponding social media accounts are available. So that just speeds up the process for you. So yeah, you can definitely check that out. And then I would try and get the .com if you can. You know, people are still going to assume that it is the .com, so it is easier if you can get that. If you can't, a good secondary option would be a .co, I would say.
Okay, so I know something that a lot of beginners who are trying to DIY their website might struggle with is not knowing necessarily what they should have or not have on their website. You don't want it to be too crowded and complicated, but you also want to have what you need on there. I know some of the templates come with things that you may not need, or some things that you don't, or that you do need that aren't on there already. So how do you kind of know what to have on your website, I guess I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's such a good question. So when you sign up with Squarespace, basically you're going to see that they have all these templates that you can choose from, but mostly you don't really, okay, let me figure out the easiest way to explain this. So you want to choose, because a lot of them, you know, Squarespace is a really flexible platform where you don't have to worry too much about the template itself. What I would say is most designers you will find recommend the template Brine. It's the strongest template in Squarespace. But with that, there's actually a Brine template family. So you can choose anyone within that. That is generally what you will find most designers will start off with, because it has the most flexibility to it. But a lot of times, you know, if you see something on one template, it is going to be you're going to be able to add that to the template that you like. So what I actually do, the way that I hack this around, is I get people to pick their template based on the fonts that they like the best. Like, that sounds so weirdly specific, but it's very difficult for people that aren't designers to get, you know, all the fonts, the sizes, the weights, everything like that, to get that right. So I get them to choose within the Brine family. And within the Brine family, you're going to see, like, I think there's like 40 templates or something that you can choose from.
Oh, wow.
Get them to pick the fonts within there and then learn how to customize. Like, the actual content of your site, you can pretty much do across all templates. So yeah, so it's definitely kind of difficult. So I'm actually doing a series on my YouTube channel. So this will be totally free for everyone. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each template family in review.
Is that Brian spelled Brian?
No, so it's Brine, like Brine.
Brine. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. And after, so that actually does help a lot, because I think the majority of the problem that I was struggling with when trying to do it for myself was just being overwhelmed with options. So breaking it down to finding the font that you want first is a great tip for me to stop looking at so many different things, because I didn't know what to focus on, whether it was colors, whether it was font, whether it was features. So that helps a lot. And something that I did see in one of your YouTube videos was about making your website look professional. Because you want, when people visit your website, you don't want it to look like it was your own project or your own DIY website making. You want to make it look like someone did it professionally. So are there any key things that someone should have to make sure that their website looks as professional as possible?
Absolutely. So one of the, main things that people struggle with is the fonts. So that's why I get them to choose the fonts. But with that, you can you're going to want to customize the colors, and that's totally fine. So a few tips for getting it to look professional is you have to keep it simple. One of, the biggest kind of clues that it's DIY is when people over clutter their site. So you want to keep it simple. You want to have a ton of white space. It might feel weird when you're designing at first, to kind of see. By white space, I basically just mean like empty or literal white space. But that's definitely going to make it look more high-end, more professional. And then what you want to do is use high quality photos. That is going to help a ton. But you do want all the photos that you use on your site to be matching in style or tone. So, and you don't have to worry, about getting professional photos yet. You can actually just use stock photo websites. There are a few really good ones. Two of my favorites are Pexels, Pexel with an S.com, and also unsplash.com. And you can just use that to start with. I think that's another big barrier where people feel like they need to spend thousands of dollars and get a professional photo shoot. You don't need to do that yet. You can simply, launch a really professional looking site with high quality imagery to begin with, and then you can later do a photo shoot. So I would say that, and then I would say make use of the templates. So definitely, like the template that you choose in Squarespace is going to have a lot of settings determined for you already, which is fantastic. And then you can use a program like Canva, which is a free graphic design software for non-designers. And what that will give you is that's going to give you some really great graphics that you can use on your website as well. And finally, I would say to get a professional color palette, make use of the tool. It's called Coolers, and that's going to help you find complementary colors that look really nice and professional next to each other.
Awesome. That leads to my next question, because you have this professional site now. It looks so good. It matches your color palette. It matches your personality. You got it worked out. But you want people to be able to find your website that you worked so hard on creating. So that leads me to SEO. And that honestly could be a whole nother episode within itself, which it probably will be later. But that's a term that a lot of people are scared of. And that's search engine optimization. If anyone doesn't know what that is, that's listening. Can you affect your SEO within Squarespace? Is that possible to make you more discoverable?
Absolutely. So Squarespace has built in a lot of features for us to help us out with the SEO, and they've made it really a lot simpler for us, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that on the back end of Squarespace, you're filling in all the settings, like all the business information, your site title, your tagline, everything like that. Even if it's not displaying on your website, you want to make sure that everything in the back end is filled in. Okay. And also you'll notice on every single page as well, they've recently added this where they've now given you the SEO title and description. So for every single page on your website, you're going to want to fill that in. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to put in relevant keywords. So what are people actually typing into Google that, that you're covering in your content, basically. So one of my favorite resources for that, it's just a plugin, or not a plugin, sorry, a Chrome extension, and it's called Keywords Everywhere. And basically what that is going to do is even, when you're on Google and looking up certain things, it's going to tell you right beside it how many searches that keyword is getting per month. So that's super helpful. And what you're going to want to do is find keywords that have some search volume that you can start to use on all your pages throughout your website. That's definitely a good way to get started. But really, I think that the best way that people can get found is to publish high quality, valuable content on a blog. So luckily with Squarespace, it's super easy. Like, it's so nice and easy to create a blog. So basically, all of us can be sharing our expertise, what we know. And if you put, longer content on your blog, you definitely have a good chance of ranking for that and therefore getting lots of free traffic to your website.
And is that because Google or whatever search engine is searching through all those words you type in your blog as well, so it's picking up more keywords?
Exactly. So you really want, it's like not only that, it's with blog content, it's going to be longer pieces of content than the rest of your website. You know, your website is kind of going to act like a brochure for what you do, and it's definitely going to have mentions of it. But the blog content, it's, you know, specific topics that your audience is looking. So you're basically giving yourself multiple chances. You know, say you're blogging weekly, you're giving yourself that chance every single week for your audience to find you on relevant topics. So, you know, it's definitely effort, but I think it's totally worth it. And, you know, not only is that going to benefit you from an SEO perspective, but that's also going to, you know, prove your expertise. That's going to give you tons of opportunities to, you know, show your audience that you know what you're talking about and that they should hire you. So it kind of has multiple purposes.
Cool. And tagging on to SEO, that's one way that people can find you. But another way is just through promotion and marketing itself. What way have you found is the best way to promote? Okay, I have a website now, and I want people to visit it, but you don't want to, you know, necessarily be talking about it all the time, but you want to draw traffic to your website because you work so hard on it as well. So what's the best way you found to promote your website?
I would say one of the best tools ever is Pinterest, actually. So basically what you do with, Pinterest is, I feel like a lot of bloggers know about it, but if you're not like, you know, in the blogging space, then you don't necessarily know that. But basically Pinterest is another kind of search engine, but it's more visual. So you'll notice on a lot of websites, you'll see that they have, you know, a blog post graphic as well, where they have the title of their article, you know, on kind of like a colorful background. And basically the reason they have that is because they're also using Pinterest. So you can share out your blog posts on Pinterest, and that gives other people an opportunity to share it out as well. And so you can really drive a huge amount of traffic via Pinterest. So that's definitely some place I would recommend to get the word out. And then other than that, I'm also a huge fan of YouTube, and I'm on YouTube because I can get that search engine traffic of people on YouTube and direct people back to my site.
Right. So being active on other platforms and promoting it on those platforms is really key to drawing traffic back to it as well, is what I'm hearing. And those seem like the optimal ones. And we're drawing to a close, but one other thing that I just wanted to kind of get your take on. Some people think that they still, I don't know why, in 2019 think that they don't need a website. I don't know why, because this is the digital age.
Okay, so yeah, I can totally understand why people would think that, but really it's so important for your credibility. You know, like it's going to be the first thing that people do is they're going to, you know, when you reach out, like there are just so many instances where someone is going to want you to have a website. So if you're looking for it to be for business purposes, I mean, even if you're not ready with your business yet, you know, whatever you're doing at the moment, I would still recommend having some place where you're sharing that and you're documenting that. So yeah, that is why I think you should have a website. I think it really establishes you online. So if you want to have an online brand, then you should have a website. And, you know, when I say website, there's so many things that I'm doing on there. It's not kind of just a static website. It's how you're sharing content. It's how you're growing your email list, you're blogging, and also having a funnel in place. So you can have, you know, a very simple funnel in place. So whatever your goal is, you want something, you know, you want your website working for you to help achieve that goal. So I think even if you feel you're not ready yet, like there is so much that you can do with a website, and you can start building your audience. So when you do feel your business is ready, you have people to launch to.
Awesome. And last of the last is you said something about funneling, which triggered my mind to remember. But when you get people to your website, and you have a business or something to offer, you want to convert them into customers. or clients or whatever you are trying to do on your website. What's the best way to go about doing that and funneling those people through your website in a way that is effective?
For sure. So yeah, I mean, most people, when they come to your website and they're a first-time visitor, they're simply not ready to become a customer yet, right? And they're not going to do that. So what you want to do is you want to have a funnel in place. And the absolute easiest way to do this is to give away something for free. So basically, you're going to give away something valuable for free, and you're going to do this in exchange for an email address. And you'll see like all the top websites doing this, you know, all the brands that you follow. If you pay attention now, you'll see that they're doing this. And luckily for us, Squarespace has recently made this really simple because they've added in this functionality. So basically all you're going to do is you're going to decide something valuable you can give away for free. That's why you'll see a lot of people, you know, doing free, a free training or a free PDF or a free checklist, you know, something like that. Mm-hmm. You're going to create that, and then you're going to have a sign-up form on your website where if someone types in their email address, you're going to automatically email them this resource. So that's kind of the start of your funnel. That's how someone gets into your funnel. And then what you want to do from there is you want to automatically have emails going out. And what these emails are going to do is they're going to build up that know, like, and trust factor with you. And basically you're going to be able to put your pitching on autopilot. So you don't want to, you know, have people come to your website, leave, and kind of never understand why they should work with you. So basically with email marketing, what you can do as soon as they've delivered their freebie is you can set them up to receive an email sequence from you, which kind of does all the pitching on autopilot for you. So that's why I love it, especially at the beginning when I wasn't so comfortable with selling. It was great. I could just put it in my emails and have them do it for me.
Oh, wow. That's a really useful tool that I actually didn't even know about.
Absolutely. Like, you know, growing your email list is what you will hear most people say, you know, is the number one thing that you need to do for your online business. So yeah, that's basically how you're going to start that happening. And even if they don't become a client from that initial sequence, they at least now know who you are, and now they're on your email list. So after that point, you would keep in touch with them, you know. So for you, you would be, you know, constantly emailing out your podcast episodes, and through all that marketing as well, for people that take a bit longer, they're still part of your audience. And when you come out with new product services, you can pitch it to them then.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. Good to know. You crushed it. You answered all the questions super well. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And again, if you need some little sound bites or whatever, just let me know.
There were a lot of practical tips in that one. Feel free to go back, listen to the episode, write some things down, or even build on Squarespace as you listen. You can do that as well. Some of the important resources that Louise mentioned are linked in the show notes, so you can click on those if you want to. Hopefully you learned something in this episode. I know I learned a lot. Feel free to contact Louise or I on social media. My @name is @clee.davis on Instagram, or all my other contact info, all her contact info will be in the show notes as well. So you can do that if you want to. Now you have two options. You can choose to do your due diligence as a visionary, as an entrepreneur, as a young person. You could either leave a review so that other new listeners like yourself can get an idea of what the show offers, or you could simply take a screenshot on your phone, tag us at Build Your Vision Pod, and post it on your IG story. I know you have friends who want to build a website, who want to start a business, who like self-development. I know you do, because you're that person yourself. So why wouldn't you have friends who are interested in the same things? The worst thing you could possibly do by listening to this episode is not sharing it with someone. That's the absolute worst thing you could do, is keeping this information to yourself. Share with your friends. I'm sure they will love this information. And don't be selfish. No one likes selfish people. Okay, I'm going to stop playing with y'all. All right, guys, I will talk to you in the next episode. Until then, keep building your vision every single day. Peace.
Well, that's the end of our MRP episode. Thank you for listening, everything, but it's time to go. We'll have a new one for you next week on the flip side. But until then, don't kill the vibe, subscribe. Don't kill the vibe, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Don't kill the vibe, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Don't kill the vibe, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Don't kill the vibe, make sure you go ahead and subscribe.